Can I go to the office of the fantastic Tooting MP? It's on Balham High Road near Tooting Tube Station.
Tooting it is. In you go.
Thank you very much.
Right. Just get organised. What are you? Are you an Uber man or a black cab man?
I'm both an Uber and a black cab man.
Do you go along with some of the ideas to curb Uber, for example, forcing them to wait 5 minutes? I mean, specifically with Uber, there's a view amongst black cabbies they have an unfair advantage. So do you think if you were mayor, you would look to do something to curb the advantages that Uber have?
I'm not sure if waiting for 5 minutes works. The important thing is to make sure we level the playing field. So, for example, just think about what you've got to go through as a black cab driver before you can drive a black cab. The vehicles are so expensive, they're all disabled friendly, the criminal checks, the knowledge you've got to do. Rather than leveling down your high standards, let's level up the private hire vehicle standards. So, for example, basic knowledge, speaking English, doing the security checks.
Well, how does that work? Do they have English tests or something?
Yeah, we'll need to. We'll need to bring up their standards.
English tests for cab drivers?
Basic English should be a requirement if you're a public servant.
And if they don't get that, they wouldn't be able to. They wouldn't be able to operate as a cab driver.
In my view, if you're in any public-facing job, you should be able to speak basic English.
I thought while we're waiting in this light, why don't I give you some quick-fire questions so people can get a feel of where you are on things, sort of yes/no things. So, do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you are you offended by page 3?
As a feminist, as a dad, I think it's not great to have women's naked bodies in newspapers that are read by millions.
What's that, a yes or a no to being offended?
I'm not personally offended.
Okay. Would you take in, or think about taking in, a Syrian refugee?
I'd speak to my wife about it first, but assuming that the family agreed to it, then yeah, with the space. At the moment it's difficult with 2 teenage daughters, but yeah.
Just passing that cyclist, do you think cyclists should have to wear helmets?
No, but we've got to make it safer and easier for people to cycle.
I saw on your website one of the things you want is to be the most pro-business
Absolutely.
Mayor. But I don't think of you as a pro-business politician, because I was looking at your record, and when it comes to things like corporation tax cuts for business, you've always voted against that.
So I'm the only candidate with the experience of helping run a successful business. I'll go with the Conservative Chancellor and a Conservative Prime Minister on trade missions around the world to get business for London.
You'd be happy to go on, I don't know, visits to India or wherever with George Osborne?
I will. But look, I'll also be, campaigning, hopefully as the Mayor of London between May the 5th, May the 6th after the election, and June the 23rd, with Conservative Prime Minister, Conservative Chancellor, Conservative Business Secretary, for us to stay in the European Union. I mean,
what do you say to those of in your party who would say, well, you're giving legitimacy to your party's opponents?
The future of the city I love, the future of our country, is far more important than tribal party politics.
How does that go down in your party, and particularly with the likes of Jeremy Corbyn, that sort of, I'm going to work with George Osborne, I'm going to work with David Cameron approach?
I think when it comes to being a mayor of a great city, you've got to recognise your role is to be the champion for that city. I'm not Jeremy Corbyn's representative to London.
You, of course, voted for Jeremy Corbyn.
I nominated him.
Nominated him, sorry, to get him in the contest. Do you regret that now?
No, and it's quite important for us to recognise the Labour Party has lost not one, but 2 general elections in a row badly.
Do you seriously think Jeremy Corbyn's going to put you in a better position to win?
But to deprive the Labour movement of a chance to vote for all the candidates that they could have had a chance to do so would have been wrong.
But at the end of the day, you surely want Labour to be in the best position to form a government. My question is, do you think Jeremy Corbyn puts you in a better position to form a government?
Of course I do. But that's why it would have been wrong to exclude somebody from the ballot paper. And look, the Labour movement voted for Jeremy Corbyn. I may not have voted for Jeremy Corbyn, but he's got a big mandate.
It sounds like you are a supporter of his.
Of course I support the Labour Party.
But I mean, you're still an MP, Sadiq. You know how many MPs view Jeremy Corbyn, and they are terrified that however popular he might be in the Labour Party, many, many voters are just never going to vote for him, and therefore your party is potentially heading for an even worse encounter with the electorate at the next election.
Well, and those are some of the challenges that Jeremy Corbyn as the leader has to overcome. I'm not the leader of the Labour Party, thank goodness.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about immigration, because obviously a huge issue, London a huge magnet for immigrants. Do you think there are too many immigrants?
No. I think it's really important, though, to explain that question in some more detail rather than yes and no. We've got to understand that for the last 1,000 years, we've benefited as a city from trade, from ideas, and from people. And my parents were immigrants. I'm a child of immigrants. And you've got various forms of immigration. You've got those who come on a work permit, those who are students, those who are asylum seekers and refugees, those who are family reunion, those who come and don't have a good reason. And so what's really important is that we distinguish the different types of immigration.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I mean, if you think London is perhaps the most diverse cosmopolitan city in the world, possibly.
Absolutely.
But it is a numbers issue, isn't it? Because the numbers puts massive strain on resources. So at the end of the day, you know, London is already a diverse city and people are by and large okay with that. Numbers is a question, and my question to you is, do you think the numbers at the moment are too high?
No, I don't. It's about making sure we plan for the numbers, so growth. So let me give you an example. If we were to, one of my plans is to set up a Homes for Londoners in City Hall. I would be in charge of making sure there are genuinely affordable homes built in London. At least half would be genuinely affordable. You pay social rent, a London living rent, a third of average earnings, but also homes you can afford to buy under shared ownership.
What do you say to those who view you as someone who's a bit of a flip-flopper? I'm thinking obviously of Heathrow, where you used to be very much in favour, now totally opposed.
I'm not going to apologise for changing my mind if the facts change. I'm not some sort of mad ideologue who's stubborn, is going to keep his, head in the sand when it comes to the facts changing. Look, our area in London is a killer. It makes you sick, and it's illegal in those circumstances. No to a new runway at Heathrow.
But it's not just on Heathrow, is it? I mean, you take the mansion tax. I mean, you used to be a strong supporter of that. Those were the broadest shoulders, but now you're against that too.
There used to be a saying in the 1980s that members of the Labour Party had, and the saying was, no compromise with the electorate. And we lost election after election after election. Now look, we put a manifesto to the British public last May. We got hammered. Now we can put it back to the British public either this May or in 2020, but don't be surprised if we get hammered. Look, I'm a Democrat, I'm a pluralist, I want to win elections. Now, I've got to recognise that the offer we had last May
That's why
wasn't
I was
good
asking
enough.
you about Jeremy Corbyn. I mean, you seriously think he is going to put you in a better position
Norman,
to win?
I tell you what, I'm working my socks off between now and May the 5th to win the London election, because, only by winning elections can we change people's lives for the better.
Let me give you some quick fires on London, because
This is ones of common, by the way. When you know about run-ins. When I was training for the marathon, my route includes 3 commons: Tooting Common, Clapham Common, and Wandsworth Common. And actually, when you run back here on the pavement, you can feel the fumes from the exhaust. You can genuinely feel it. So I changed my route to avoid the main road, even though this is the way back to my home because of the air quality that we talked about.
Fine, let me ask you some London questions then. If I give you the tube, you obviously take the tube, so I'm going to give you a sequence. What do you want? You do the Northern Line, Central Line?
I'm Northern Line man.
Northern Line, okay. What's next in the sequence then?
Oh, that's hard.
No, this is easy. Okay, let's just have a listen. Tottenham Court Road, Leicester Square, Charing Cross.
So it'd be Embankment.
Yes, very good. Very
I'll tell you what.
Okay,
I can do better. The time between Embankment and Charing Cross is 30 seconds.
That's very good. Okay, here's another one. Who plays at Selhurst Park?
Crystal Palace.
Let me ask you an EastEnders question. Do you watch EastEnders?
Not as much as I used to. I'm the Dirty Den, Angie era.
Oh, you've taken away my question. I was going to ask you who was the first barmaid of the Queen
But
Bee.
by the way, I've been to EastEnders store, and we've just passed a road. True story. We passed a road. I used to have a paper round, and I used to deliver to Dirty Den's mistress. She lived just back. She used to live just back there. True story. When I had a paper round.
All right. What
Well,
is?
take a left here. Or
Yeah,
take
yeah.
the right side of the road.
What is London's oldest museum?
Oh,
If you think on it, you get
is
it.
it the History Museum?
It's actually the British Museum, but
Of course it is.
I'll let you off there.
Well, you know what's embarrassing?
What?
My office used to be on Museum Street in Bloomsbury when I was a lawyer, and so I spent many times at a museum when I was a grown up.
Well, we're almost at your offices, I think. So if you get the mayor thing,
Yeah.
what do you want to be your big legacy? If there was one thing, if you became mayor, you would want to stand out as your achievement, what would that be?
To start addressing the housing crisis, so Londoners can afford to live in London. You know, look, London's the greatest city in the world, but we're at a crossroads. Why? Because Londoners are being priced out of London because of the cost of housing and the cost of commuting.
Here we are, here we are. I think I've got myself a second job here, you know. I think I can do this.
Some would argue that's an improvement on your first one.
There we go, Sadiq. Very nice to have you in the
Pleasure,
back of the
mate.
cab.
Pleasure.
And I'm looking here, £22.40. It's a bargain.
Cheers.
Look after yourself.
Take care, mate.
See
Ta-ra.
ya.